Hi, this is Siobhan, and I'm presenting my uh, TEL Final Project, which is based off of um, a pilot project that I'm involved in for the fall of 2020, and I'm calling it Virtual Seneca. So a while back, you might remember we got an email from President David Agnew, who was asking for a call for ideas. Knowing with COVID and everything that had happened with shutting down schools and looking at reopening for fall, there was a call for some great ideas to help our students be successful. My idea was for a virtual Seneca campus built and located on a virtual world platform. If you're not familiar with the term virtual world platform, I've listed a couple of different sites that you can check out to sort of see more in detail what is out there. The one that I'm most confident in using is actually the active worlds one. So if you're on there and exploring, I think you'll see what I mean. Part of this new idea was based out of some situations in my home life. It came to me when I was exploring some options for my son Aiden that I have homeschooled for the last few years. My son is autistic and he struggles with social integration. So in my search to find something that would be engaging for him, I came across a lot of literature supporting the growth of learning in virtual platforms and how they were trying to transform education in that way. And since my son is a gamer, he loves video games, I thought that this might be a good way to engage him. I was really unprepared for how immersive and detailed and connected the virtual world made him feel, and then by extension, me as his parent. I love that when you are virtual, you get to choose how you move through space, how you communicate within your world, and then how you interact with your learning experience. And so coming up with my idea of this learning world for Seneca, I had to come up with a statement, let's say, a statement of purpose. What is the point? And so for me, it was that a virtual learning environment can promote community and belonging, accessible learning, a collaborative experience, which of course is then going to enhance our overall immersive learning experience. So COVID-19, we know, has forced all of us to experience online learning. However, learning in the online environment has really been around for decades. Enough time that there's a considerable amount of data out there around the pros and the cons associated with online learning environments. The literature review that I was conducting showed that the most common complaints or challenges that were experienced by both faculty and students was the lack of community building in the online environment as it stands currently. A lack of integrated learning and the ability to sort of fully collaborate with our colleagues and learning institutions, both domestically and internationally. And so my vision for a virtual Seneca is really based around supporting Seneca's digital learning strategy. So we'll develop digital competencies of our students in using these sorts of platforms, while at the same time empowering our educators to enhance their teaching practices. Our curriculum will continue to grow and become even more engaging and rich, and we can leverage the skills of both our students, our faculty, and our staff to support a flexible and adaptable IT infrastructure. My vision of virtual Seneca, creating a visual world, is around building a virtual town or a city and eventually a virtual campus. Faculty and students would create their own avatars where everyone now becomes equal. Physical barriers are removed. COVID-19 has drastically changed how we operate as faculty and as students. It's also changed kind of how I would put together a presentation like this one. Having both my children at home every day in a busy, multi-generational household with multiple first responders working through COVID, it's really changed the dynamic of my workspace and my time. But one of the coolest things I think to come out of this past few weeks in designing this presentation for you was the collaboration of my family, in particular my oldest son, Aiden, collaborating on building a virtual office in Active Worlds, and making this short video for you with Spark and using and uploading to YouTube. It was a lot of fun, but it was also learning rich for both of us. I hope you enjoy this short clip as much as we enjoyed making it for you. I hope you enjoyed that. We certainly enjoyed making it. So some of the benefits. When I was looking at this, it was really about building community was where I wanted to start. We build community and a sense of belonging through our interactions in real time. When you're in a classroom, that's really easy to do. When you're online, not so much. In a virtual world, we can connect with our colleagues from within our own program and our school, while still being able to connect with colleagues from other Seneca schools. Community building in a virtual world also means that we can connect with our colleagues and students globally. In my literature review, it became apparent that there was learning in a virtual world was really supported by four main sort of theoretical ideas. And I took those ideas and created this four pillars of a virtual world and of virtual world learning, I should say. Virtual learning is based on using learning-centered pedagogy so that faculty can provide learner-centered interaction. This is just slightly different than current pedagogy for online learning, where we are really focused on building curriculum and learning experience that is learner-centered. With online learning platforms, we have to start with building our curriculum from a learning-centered pedagogy. So that's our base, which then gives us all of this extra time to be able to create and support really individualized learner-centered interactions with faculty and other supports. So effectively integrating theories into practical actions through learning again, and virtual worlds are barrier-free. Physically, we can use, there's lots of apps and integrated softwares that can be used for people that have visual impairments, people that have hearing impairments, cognitive impairments. There's lots of different adaptations that can be made, which makes it really universally designed. We can literally see learning connections happening in real time, from basic remembering and understanding material to applying it, evaluating it, and even creating it all in one class. In a virtual world, our experience can look and sound real, all in real time. Engagement is unavoidable. It's a place without barriers to make mistakes safely. Imagine doing a sterile wound dressing on a virtual patient and cross-contaminating your sterile field. This is a great real life-like learning experience. However, the consequences of making that mistake are so much higher in real life for both the patient and the student. The other benefit to a virtual learning environment is being able to capture performance-based analytics. There's lots of literature out there that supports the use of performance-based analytics for students, as long as they are involved in that collection and analyzation and understanding for their own learning. And so my next favorite part, the collaborative learning piece. Um, Whether it's intra-Seneca, so looking at within our schools and within our own schools, or inter-school. Currently I'm working on a case study, a nursing case study for nursing students, and I'm working with a colleague of mine who works at Humber College. And throughout this process, we've often say, wouldn't it just be so cool if we could go on this platform and build it literally in front of our eyes, build the patient, build the patient's expressions, build the interaction between the patient, the environment, the nurse. And so that brings me to the end, which is the end of my idea, but not the end of the project. So I established that this idea had a lot of merit in addressing some of the downfalls of online learning. What I needed to do next was come up with a plan. So piloting something, as I'm sure most of you have done and are aware, is a really time-intense project. It takes a lot of different pieces. Thankfully, because of TEL, I was already well on my way of thinking about how I would make this a reality. So building the curriculum. And I liked that throughout this TEL experience with all of us and with Jennifer, there's been a lot of focus on stay small, stay focused, be purposeful in what you're doing. And while I tend to that already in my curriculum, this project and this idea was so big that it really helped me to focus on the purpose of a pilot, which is to start small. And so building my curriculum, we decided to start with a small group of students and faculty who will participate in orientation, both to the platform as well as to the curriculum and what it is that we're going to be doing. And so what we're going to be doing is doing some interactive case studies with patients, so live, well, not live, but avatar patients who will hopefully provide them with more of that interaction that they're not getting right now because of our limited ability to provide clinical or lab space. And we know from looking at the last 10 years worth of data that programs like nursing that rely very heavily on laboratory simulation and clinical are going to continue to struggle to have that space and that time. And so we're really looking at how do we reimagine nursing education. But that's a whole other thing, just focusing on this pilot project. So I've been building this curriculum, trying to keep it simple, looking at really having true and authentic interaction and relationships with the faculty and students who will be involved. and then having our trial run, hopefully at the end of August with just the faculty, and then rolling it out to our pilot students in September when school starts. And so that's where I'm at. And I know for my class, which I'm teaching in the fall, P&H 201, one of the important ones that I've been working on is building a case scenario around a well older adult and a laboring or just postpartum, so somebody who's just had a baby, because those are sort of the two areas where I think that interaction would be really helpful in learning the theory that I'm going to be teaching. And so I hope to be with you guys in our next session in the fall, and hopefully I can share with you where we're at with it. If you have any questions or you're interested in what's happening, I am always happy to talk about it because it's pretty exciting. And I will also share the link to this Spark page for anyone who is interested. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great summer, guys. Bye.